Hello everyone and welcome to our podcast. Imagine you are cleaning your old attic on a rainy Sunday afternoon. Behind a stack of dusty cardboard boxes, you find a small, dark leather notebook. You open the first page and you see your own handwriting, but the date at the top says October 14, 2046. As you turn the pages, you realize this book contains a day-by-day description of your entire future life, including every choice you will make, every success you will achieve, and every tragedy you will face. Today, we are going to dive deep into a thrilling question. What if you found a diary from the future? We will discuss how this discovery would change your mind, your personal choices, and your daily feelings. We will look at whether knowing the future would give you a massive advantage in life, or if it would become a heavy burden that ruins your happiness. We have a wonderful expert in psychology and storytelling with us today to guide us through this incredible thought experiment. Let us start our conversation right now.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is an absolutely beautiful and terrifying topic to think about. When people imagine finding a notebook from the future, their first thought is always about winning the lottery or buying the right stocks to become rich. It sounds like an amazing dream. But from a psychological standpoint, holding a book that contains your exact future would shake the very foundation of your daily life. The human mind is built to deal with uncertainty. We wake up every day because we want to see what happens next. If you remove that mystery, you change the way your brain processes hope, motivation, and excitement. The first day you find this diary, you would probably experience a huge wave of disbelief. You would read the entries for the upcoming week to see if the book is real. If the book correctly predicts a sudden rainstorm on Monday or a specific phone call from an old friend on Tuesday, a deep feeling of awe and fear would hit you.
That initial confirmation would be a very scary moment. Once you realize the book is completely accurate, how would that affect your motivation to work or study? If your future is already written down, does your current effort even matter anymore?
That is exactly the core problem of this scenario. If the diary says that you will become a successful manager of a big company in 10 years, you might react in two very different ways. The first reaction could be extreme relaxation. You might think that since your success is guaranteed by the book, you can just sit on your couch, watch television all day, and do no work at all. Why stretch yourself thin if the outcome is already locked in place? But the second reaction is much more stressful. You might start to worry constantly about how that success will happen. If the book says you pass a major exam next month, but you do not study at all, you create a strange paradox. Will the universe force you to pass anyway, or will your lazy actions change the text inside the notebook? This creates a heavy psychological loop where you feel like a puppet on strings, just following orders from a piece of paper.
It sounds like a trap. You lose your free will because you are always checking the book to see what you are supposed to do next. What about our personal relationships? Imagine reading a diary entry about your current friendships or your marriage.
Relationships would become incredibly complicated and painful. Imagine you are happily dating someone right now, but you flip ahead in the diary and read an entry from 5 years in the future. The entry says that you and this person separate after a long, bitter argument, and you feel completely heartbroken. How do you look at your partner during dinner tonight? You would look at them and only see the future pain. Every time they smile at you, you would remember that this smile will disappear one day. You might become very cold and distant to protect yourself from that future heartbreak. By acting distant, you actually cause the relationship to fail, which means you fulfilled the prediction of the book yourself. Psychologists call this a self-fulfilling prophecy. The diary did not just predict your life. It actively shaped your behavior and caused the negative event to happen.
That is a tragic cycle. By trying to avoid the future or worrying about it, you end up causing it. What if the diary contains a prediction about a major health issue or a physical accident? Would you try to change it?
Human nature would absolutely force you to try and change it. Let us say the diary entry for November 12, 2028, says that you break your leg after falling down the stairs at a local train station. When that date arrives, you would probably decide to stay in bed all day. You would lock your front door, pull the blankets over your head, and refuse to go anywhere near a train station. You would feel very proud of yourself for outsmarting the future. But then, imagine that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a small pipe breaks in your ceiling. Water leaks onto your bedroom floor, you step out of bed, slip on the wet floor, and break your leg right there in your room. The specific detail of the train station might change, but the core event happens anyway because your body was destined to experience that injury. This would make you realize that you cannot run away from the notebook. which would create a deep, dark feeling of helplessness.
That realization would break a person's spirit. Feeling like you have absolutely no control over your own life would lead to a lot of sadness and anxiety. Is there any way a person could use this diary to help other people, like warning them about global disasters?
It would be very difficult to use the information to help the wider world. Remember, this is a personal diary, so it only contains things that you personally witness, feel, or read about in the news. If the diary mentions a massive earthquake in a distant country because you read about it on the news in 2032, you might try to warn the government of that country today. But think about what happens when a regular person contacts a government and says they have a magical notebook from the future. No one would believe you. They would think you are crazy or just looking for attention. If you persist and keep shouting about it, the police might arrest you, or scientists might lock you in a lab to study your brain. By trying to save the world, you might end up spending your entire life in a small cell, separated from your family and friends.
So trying to be a hero would only bring danger to your own door. You would have to keep the diary a complete secret from everyone around you. How would keeping such a massive secret affect your mental health over many years?
It would create an incredible amount of isolation. The people who love you would notice that you are always distracted, always looking at your notebook, and always acting strange before certain dates. They would ask you what is wrong, but you could never tell them the truth because you would be afraid of how the knowledge might hurt them too. Imagine knowing the exact day your elderly parents will pass away. If you tell them, you ruin the peace of their remaining years. If you do not tell them, you carry a heavy mountain of grief entirely by yourself. You would sit at family dinners feeling like a ghost from a different time zone. You would become a passive spectator of your own life instead of a living participant. The diary would become a golden cage that separates you from the warmth of normal, spontaneous human connection.
A passive spectator of your own life. That is a very heavy phrase. It makes me realize that surprise is a necessary ingredient for joy. If you know exactly what gifts you will get for your birthday for the next 30 years, the excitement of your birthday completely dies.
Exactly. Think about your favorite movie or your favorite book. The magic of that story comes from the first time you experience it, when you do not know how the hero will survive or how the plot will turn out. If you watch a movie for the 10th time, it can still be comforting, but it never gives you that same rush of adrenaline or excitement. Life is the exact same way. The beauty of a victory comes from the very real risk of failure. When you work hard for a goal, like starting a small business or finishing a marathon, the joy at the finish line exists because you knew you might fail along the way. If the diary already told you that you would finish the marathon in 4 hours, the running becomes just a boring chore you must complete to match the text. You lose the sweet taste of accomplishment.
That is so true. The risk of failure is what makes success feel so good. Let us look at a different option. What if you find the diary, read the first 2 pages to confirm it is real, and then decide to burn it completely in a fire? What happens then?
Burning the diary would be the bravest and most healthy choice a person could make. If you throw that book into a roaring fire, you return the gift of mystery to your life. You allow yourself to step back into the normal human timeline where your choices feel real and powerful again. However, even if the book is turned to ashes, a small scar would remain in your memory. You would always remember those first 2 pages you read. If those pages predicted that something wonderful would happen next year, you would spend the whole year waiting for it, wondering if burning the book destroyed the prediction. If those pages predicted something bad, you would always look over your shoulder, waiting for the blow to fall. It shows us that once future knowledge enters the human brain, it is very hard to wipe the slate completely clean.
It is like taking a bite from the forbidden fruit of knowledge. You can never truly forget what you saw. Let us talk about why humans are so obsessed with knowing the future. Why do we go to fortune tellers, read horoscopes, and look for signs?
We do those things because the human brain is a prediction machine. Evolutionary biology tells us that our ancient ancestors survived because they could predict things. They needed to predict when the winter cold would arrive, where dangerous predators would hide, and which plants were safe to eat. Uncertainty creates a deep feeling of anxiety in our bodies because, in the wild, uncertainty meant danger. Today, we do not face the same wild animals, but we still carry that ancient brain. We worry about whether we will lose our jobs, whether our health will fail, or whether we will end up alone. Seeking the future is just our brain's desperate attempt to feel safe and in control. We think that if we have a map of tomorrow, we will finally be able to relax and be happy.
But as our conversation shows, having that perfect map actually does the exact opposite. It takes away our peace and replaces it with a different kind of prison. It seems our brains are not designed to hold that much information.
You are absolutely correct. Our minds are built to operate in the present moment, with just a short view toward the immediate future. We are designed to take life one day at a time, making small adjustments as new situations arrive. A diary from the future gives you a view that belongs only to a higher power or the universe itself. It crushes the delicate architecture of human hope. Think about a person who is going through a very difficult time right now, like a deep financial struggle or a painful loss. What keeps them going is the hope that tomorrow might be better. They believe that change is possible through their own strength and actions. If a book tells them that things will stay bad for the next 5 years, that vital spark of hope would die instantly, and they might just give up completely.
Hope is such a fragile and beautiful thing. It really does require an open doorway to the future. If you close that door with a solid prediction, the air leaves the room. Let us imagine the person who wrote the diary. Why would your future self leave this book in the attic for you to find?
That is a fascinating narrative question. Why would an older version of you send this notebook back in time? Perhaps your future self was sitting in the year 2046, feeling full of deep regrets about their life choices. Maybe they felt that they wasted too many years worrying about small, insignificant things, or that they did not spend enough time with the people they loved. By placing the diary in the attic, they might have been trying to perform an act of desperate love. They wanted to shake your shoulders and say, "Look at how fast life passes, look at what matters, and stop wasting your time on silly arguments." But ironically, as we have seen, the gift of the book would probably cause more worry and isolation instead of freeing you. It shows that even our future selves might not understand the true nature of time and happiness.
It is a beautiful thought, but a failed plan. It shows that we cannot fix our past by trying to control our present from the future. The only time that is truly active and real is right now. How can we apply this lesson to our daily lives today without a magical notebook?
We can apply it by practicing the art of letting go. We need to accept that we do not know what tomorrow will bring, and that is completely okay. Instead of wasting our current energy worrying about 5 years from now, we can invest that energy into the actions we are taking today. If you want a great future diary entry, you have to write a great day today. Hug your family, do your best at your job, eat food that makes your body feel healthy, and enjoy the physical world around you. Treat the uncertainty of life as an exciting adventure instead of a terrifying monster. When you look at tomorrow as a blank page instead of a pre-printed sheet, you reclaim your personal power and your true freedom as a human being.
Treating uncertainty as an adventure instead of a monster. That is a wonderful phrase to live by. It shifts our perspective from fear to curiosity. Thank you so much for coming onto our podcast today and sharing these deep, philosophical, and psychological reflections with us. You took a fun fantasy topic and turned it into a deeply valuable life lesson for all of us.
It was an absolute pleasure to talk with you. I always love exploring these scenarios because they hold up a clear mirror to our daily habits and thoughts. It reminds us that our regular, unwritten life is already a beautiful gift, full of surprises and magic. I hope all your listeners go out today, leave their worries behind, and enjoy writing their own blank pages. Thank you for having me, and have a beautiful week, everyone.
What an incredible and thought-provoking conversation we had today. To summarize the key takeaways from our discussion, we explored the fascinating scenario of finding a personal diary written by your future self from the year 2046. We learned that while knowing the future sounds like a shortcut to wealth and success, it carries a heavy mental cost. It can completely destroy your daily motivation, create painful loops of worry in your close relationships, and lock you into self-fulfilling prophecies where you feel like a puppet following orders. We discovered that human joy requires surprise, and our victories feel sweet precisely because failure is a real risk. We also saw that uncertainty is not a danger to flee from, but the very space where hope, free will, and creativity thrive. Thank you again to our wonderful guest, and thank you to all our listeners for spending your precious time with us today. We hope you feel inspired to embrace the beautiful mystery of tomorrow, and we'll see you in the next episode.